And the first game of the 2022 season is in the books. Hey, everybody, the OU flag guy, aka Josh, is here as OU takes UTEP's lunch money and wins 45-13 in Brent Venables' debut as the Oklahoma Sooners head coach. I want to thank everyone for being patient with me getting my recap video up. For those of you who don't know, I usually do attend the games and have my recap videos up the following morning or afternoon, as I like to have notes for me to reference as I have time to digest the game and have kind of compile my thoughts versus an instant reaction. That being said, I did want to try to change that for the season, especially with these earlier games, to get it up during the actual day. However, that all being said, I had all the intentions yesterday to come home from the game, record the video after the moment, and get more also instantaneous as well. But as y'all probably figured out, that game yesterday was extremely, extremely hot and humid due to some of the rain we've had over the past couple of days. Yes, yes, I earned my stripes yet again. And in this game again, I stayed through the entire game, though I was not on the east side. I was on the west side. I'll be upfront. May have been the hottest game that I've attended since, to me, either Chattanooga 2008 or at the very beginning of that OU Texas game in 2011. And again, it was just a combination of the humidity and the concrete. Everything just compiled together. I think I heard from people that it was anywhere from 110 to 120 on the actual field. We were definitely feeling it in the stands, I'll tell you that. Though, to be fair, too, I saw people complaining that, it was hot, but it wasn't as bad as OU Miami 2007, for example. Guys, it doesn't matter. It's not a competition at that point. It's hot. So yesterday, instead of coming in and just instantly recording, I came home and rested. I've been making people laugh as early as June of this year when I said I was already conditioning myself and hydrating myself to get ready for this game. They laughed, yet I was being very serious about it. I wasn't kidding. Even then, as much as I did to prep for this game of being more outside and drinking more water, I was starting to even feel the effects of the sun, just breathing a little bit harder and just having, when I got home off that adrenaline rush, just feeling a light headache come on at that point. I think I can speak for everyone too, that even though people were disappointed in the student section left, I think I can speak for everyone. I say, guys, take a chill pill. Yes, the students left. Yes, it was hot. And guys, y'all just need to take a step back on it, especially if you're saying that the student section needs to be reduced on it. I was there. The stadium was empty by roughly halftime, no matter where you look, because it was affecting everybody with the exception of people that near the late end of the game were in the shade. I'm convinced the people who stayed on the east side stayed out of spite at this point. Now, that being said, I know the student section leaving has been a problem and is still a problem, and I don't know how you solve that. No, adding bars to Campus Corner and allowing reentry, which, even though that's a thing of the past and it's not, neither of those things are going to solve it, we do need to figure something out to improve, because even I think the crowd was a bit mellow. But to be also fair, that's capitalism. If they want to spend their money and leave early, hey, that's on them. They spent their money and OU gets it either way. But in the day, this is not the hill to die on. There is worse things and better fights to fight at this point. In the day, between this and tailgating, I don't know what people are whining about more. But regardless, that's almost 4.5 minutes of me just giving just recap about the Heat. Let's unpack this game as a whole, while I am trying to keep this under as best as I can, 10 to 12 minutes. Unlike a lot of people, I actually do have a lot of things to say about this game and have a lot of points I want to bring up. While we did not get to half 100, like I hoped, we still won comfortably 45-13. We took care of business. We still beat the spread, which OU was favored by 31. And there was never really a moment that it got out of hand at this point. As you could tell, this team is very much a work in progress. And despite all the hype that we had from fall camp, it's still fall camp. It's still the same units as last year with most of the same guys. And it's going to take them time to break bad habits at this point. Starting with the UTEP side, though, to be fair, I mentioned in pregame that if OU wanted to have success, they needed to load the box up and dare UTEP to pass it. And kudos to them. They sold out on the pass, and they were able to actually get a lot of completions on it. I mean, when you look at the stat line, I think UTEP passed for a whopping 51 out of 82 plays, several of them almost even being picked off as their quarterback just forced it too much. Um, Honestly, I think if they went the opposite of what I said, that's why I'm not X's and O's guys. If they did do the run, they could have had some marginal success, as Ronald Awat was rushing for 3.3 yards a carry for that. Overall, though, UTEP on the day, they just did not have anything to write home about. I think the highlight of their day was UTEP tackling Mims after he did the fair catch, which was extremely dirty and pretty flagrant, as Mims was waving fair catch almost 5 full seconds before the ball made it to him. Their only TD was also due to some poor refs at this point decisions. So overall, that was just UTEP on the day. Now, again, unlike others, I have a lot to say about OU. OU yesterday, overall, while they took care of business, they were inconsistent as best. Let's start with the offense. Dylan looked okay for his first start. I'm not expecting fireworks or him to completely annihilate the opponent during the game, but at times he looked poised, confident. At other times, he also looked a bit lost. I don't know if it was because UTEP kept mixing some schemes around to confuse him. It just felt like it was either he was very hot or very cold at this point. That said, I think he'll get better as we get more games under his belt, and he still had a great stat line at the end of the day for with his TDs and everything like that and his runs. Freeman definitely earned his stripe today. Getting his first touch on the team and it scoring in a touchdown. I think that was probably one of the few moments the stadium was extremely loud. Like that was a wonderful, wonderful run to see, and that was part of that 21-0 run at that point. And also too, the wide receivers got some playing today. Now, as everybody has said, this team is a work in progress. And while Gray had a good day with the majority of carries averaging about 6 yards a carry, I am personally still not sold on him. Even from last season, I think Marcus Major looked better than he did yesterday. It's different types of running back style, sure, but Marcus Major just looked like he filled the role better. I don't know. That's me. I know I'm very much in the minority on that. I'm still not sold on Eric Gray. Flags were a little bit of an issue yesterday as well on the offense. I personally think it's more attributed to the rust, but we need to clean that up on the O-line. Those penalties could be drive killers and hurt us against better competition later in the season. Something that I did circle that needs to also be cleaned up is we were 3 for 8 for third downs. It's just there. I don't know how much you can get from that from the first game of the season, but it is something to keep an eye on. As to me, that's something that shouldn't be at all something you should entertain in the first game for that. That could be a problem. Finally, play calling was okay. I would have preferred a better balance of the run pass game and stuck with the run earlier, especially if they established it. At times, it really felt like we were trying to force the square into the circle at this point and force the passing games, which has its questions on its own, as it seemed like sometimes our receivers just could not overpower the UTEP ones and their secondary. But I would have preferred to see more of the run game at this point. Again, I was not a fan at times of it, especially the 3 pass plays in a row at that point, and then kicking. It is what it is. I'm also not sure, but we did not put it away as fast as I would have liked it, and we kept the starters in too long, in my opinion. Going into the fourth quarter. I think this game should have been a mid-third quarter, but it is what it is, and we live with that result with it. On the flip side, defense looked so much better than they usually did. Tackling was great, and it seemed like our guys were swarming all over the place, and they were stopping yards after the catch. Several times we were also very, very, very close to having turnovers. And finally, Reggie Grimes is on track for probably having double-digit sacks this season as if he plays like that for the rest of the season. That being said, I do think that we do need to mention the secondary is definitely still a work in progress. As I mentioned in my pregame that Smith and Flores should be guarded, and it definitely showed. Now, I don't know why at the end of the day they did not double team them. Maybe they did not respect UTEP's skill position guys, but it does give me some concern in the secondary, even as early as game 1, that we could not contain them while we face better competition again later in the season. Secondary's got to step it up a little bit. Something I've also been afraid of since about 2008 was with this very, very high-paced, up-tempo offense. it's going to bite us in the butt. And I think that did show a little bit yesterday that it's not giving the defense enough time to rest and get enough time to get rest before coming in for the next series. Combine that with the time of possession mismatch and the heat and our offense just scoring incredibly fast on some amazing plays. It just seemed like the defense was on the field a whole lot and they were just gassed. Conditioning helps, but still. Another more positives of some final thoughts. No cramping, as Schmitty had them very, very well conditioned. I can't remember any players looking bad on the field, so kudos to Schmitty for that. I also do think that some of the issues we had on the defense was the constant rotations, which can be a positive. It can be a positive, as it does give our guys on the second and third strings experience. I think I counted last 27 or 28 guys who actually got some plays in. Again, I think it's because that we did not respect UTEP's individual units, but it did get frustrating at times that we could not get off the field. Final thing to note of was the crowd, honestly, as a whole, was just very underwhelming. Even when Britt's first appeared on the big screen, and this being his first home game, he got cheers, but it was nowhere near as loud as when Baker appeared on screen for the NFL part. Nothing like I expected. I guess could have been the heat, but I was a little disappointed. Maybe there'll be more ruckus next week against Kent State. So some final thoughts wrapping up. There was just no time outside of a brief moment midway through the second quarter that I felt OU was in trouble. They had that little stagnant moment with it, but other than that, OU took care of business. Unlike last year where we played to survive, OU did take control of this game the moment the whistle started, and even after their explosive 21-0 start and their lackluster second quarter, they settled down and realized you didn't need to go all out against this UTEP team, as you have enough talent to just swing the score back in your favor if needed. I also do think, based on yesterday's inconsistent play, I'm more leaning definitely now towards we're going to drop 2 games. Before, I was a little bit of a sunshine pumper. Pumping OU schedule is not only favorable, but based on this unit and who's coming back, they should definitely beat everyone on their team as per expected. Now, I'm not necessarily sure, as this is falling more into people's predictions, as well as it not just being overall fair to Brent if we said a year 1 playoff or bust. Even with Nebraska, how they played as well, based on yesterday's game of our gameplay, I do think it's going to be a lot closer than what people expect the score will be. Now, yesterday's game was very vanilla, and it was definitely judging a book by its covers, especially as the team's going to get better after the first game. But it's still a road game. We're going to have to circle, and I do think there's going to be areas that need a little more jump and improvement before we go up there at this point. Final thought, good luck, UTEP, for the rest of your season, and I hope you have as much luck as we do this season. So that's everything I have for this everything for this game, guys. Throughout this week, I will also upload some game highlights as well. I did get a couple good videos that I will upload on the channel as well. We got Kent State next week for our second home game of the week. Thank goodness it's a 6 p.m. kickoff. And if we didn't learn too much about this team this week, we surely will not learn anything about them next week, as it's against Kent State. Again, guys, comment, rate, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. As you know, when we go live tonight, Sean, aka Onikuno, and myself will do a UTEP post-game live stream. So be sure to tune into that on September 4th. Again, tonight, September 4th at 8:00 p.m. Central Daylight Time. I think I can speak for everybody that I'm glad that football is back. So with that said, Boomer Sooner, only one Oklahoma. See y'all tonight.